Diffusion is the movement of molecules from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. In the first picture, the particles are very close together or highly concentrated. Then, as they diffuse into the next picture, they spread out more and they become less concentrated. The surface area to the volume ratio gets smaller as the cell gets larger. Therefore, if a cell grows too large, then the molecules being diffused into the cell will not be able to move fast enough across the cell membrane to accommodate the increased volume of the cell. Then the cell would not be able to function properly because it wouldn't get the nutrients it needs to survive. As the cell gets larger, the time for diffusion increases because the molecules need more time to diffuse through the increased volume of the cell. The purpose of our lab was to determine why cells are so small. To do this, we decided to measure the amount of time it took for a solute to diffuse into 4 man-made cells, each of them varying in size. The first cell being 1.5 centimeters, the second was 1 centimeter, the third was a half a centimeter, and the smallest was 2/10 of a centimeter. We made these cells by cutting them out of a jelly-like substance called agar, each of them one of the previously stated sizes. The agar was dyed with a substance called bromothymol blue. Bromothymol blue is an indicator that will turn yellow when it comes into any contact with the acid. We dropped all of the cells into a beaker which contained a weak acid. We used a stopwatch to time how long it took for each of the cells to turn yellow. We did this because once the cube turned yellow, we knew that the acid diffused into the cell, because if the cube turns yellow, it means that the acid was reacting with the bromothymol blue. This lab symbolized nutrients diffusing into a cell. Looking at our data table, you can see that the larger the cube, the smaller the surface area to volume ratio. You can also see that the smallest cube took the shortest time to diffuse, and the largest cube took the longest time to diffuse. This means that the larger the cell, the longer the time it will take for molecules to diffuse into the cell. To calculate the surface area to volume ratio of each cube, first we had to figure out the volume of each cube. Next, we had to figure out the surface area of each cube. To calculate the volume of each cube, we multiplied length times width times height. And to calculate the surface area of each cube, we multiplied 6 times one of the sides squared. Then to calculate the surface area to volume ratio, we took the surface area and divided it by the volume and did some rounding. The ideal cube size was 0.2 centimeters because diffusion happens quicker when there's a less volume. In the end, we learned that cells are so small because the smaller the cell, the quicker diffusion takes place. Therefore, the quicker the cell gets food and nutrients it needs to survive and thrive.